In the 1990s, buying a brand new car didn't feel impossible. Millions of Americans walked into dealerships with one goal in mind: finding reliable transportation they could actually afford. A first job, a young family, a recent college graduate, a retired couple. For decades, there was always a brand new car waiting for them. A Ford Focus, a Chevrolet Cavalier, a Honda Civic, a Toyota Corolla. Affordable cars weren't exciting, they weren't luxurious, but they represented something uniquely American: the belief that hard work could still buy you something new. Today, that car has almost disappeared. Walk into almost any dealership in America, and you'll find rows of SUVs, pickup trucks, and crossovers with price tags that would have seemed unbelievable just 20 years ago. The strange part is, nobody ever announced the end of cheap cars. There wasn't a press conference, there wasn't a law, there wasn't even a public debate. One by one, they simply disappeared. So what happened? Did America forget how to build affordable cars? Or did someone decide they were no longer worth building? Because once you uncover the answer, you'll realize this story was never just about cars. It's about how America itself changed. Everything else became cheaper. Except cars. Think about almost every product you use every day. A television today is dramatically better than one from 20 years ago. Smartphones have become more powerful than the computers that once filled entire offices. Laptops are thinner, faster, cheaper. Even home appliances have become smarter while remaining surprisingly affordable. Technology usually follows the same pattern. It gets better, then it gets cheaper. Cars should have done exactly the same thing. Factories are more automated than ever before. Robots now perform thousands of tasks once done by hand. Manufacturing software predicts problems before they happen. Supply chains stretch across continents with incredible precision. On paper, building cars should have become more efficient than ever. So why didn't prices move in the same direction? Why does the average new vehicle cost dramatically more today than it did a generation ago? Most people already have an answer: inflation. It's the explanation you'll hear almost everywhere. Prices went up because everything became more expensive. At first, that sounds perfectly reasonable, but then another question appears. If inflation is the whole story, why didn't every industry experience the same explosion in prices? Why didn't televisions become luxury items? Why didn't refrigerators suddenly cost 3 times as much? Why are smartphones packed with more technology than ever, while some affordable cars simply disappeared altogether? Something doesn't add up. Inflation explains part of the story, but only part, because the biggest reason cheap cars disappeared has almost nothing to do with inflation. And once you see it, you'll never look at an American dealership the same way again. The answer, everyone believes, is incomplete. Another explanation often sounds even more convincing. Safety regulations. Modern cars must survive brutal crash tests. They need multiple airbags, electronic stability control, backup cameras, automatic emergency braking, lane keeping systems, blind spot monitoring. It's easy to assume these requirements made affordable cars impossible to build. And yes, every one of these features adds cost. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. If safety regulations were the biggest reason cheap cars disappeared, then every type of vehicle should have become equally difficult to sell. That isn't what happened. Instead, America experienced something completely different. Small, affordable cars slowly vanished. Meanwhile, large SUVs and pickup trucks became more popular than ever. Not only did they survive, they dominated the market. Ford stopped selling nearly all of its traditional passenger cars in the United States. General Motors shifted more of its focus toward trucks and SUVs. Other manufacturers quietly followed the same path. So the question changes. If regulations affected everyone, Why did affordable cars disappear first? What made compact sedans expendable? While massive trucks became America's best-selling vehicles, that wasn't an engineering decision. It was something much bigger. Because behind every vehicle sitting on a dealership lot, there's another story. A story about profit. And that's where this mystery truly begins. Americans didn't stop wanting cheap cars. At this point, it's tempting to blame consumers. Maybe Americans simply fell in love with bigger vehicles. Maybe nobody wanted affordable compact cars anymore. After all, look around today. Drive through almost any suburb in America and you'll see rows of full-size pickups, 3-row SUVs, and luxury crossovers filling driveways. It seems obvious. People wanted bigger cars, case closed, except that's not what the numbers actually suggest. Every year, millions of used Toyota Corollas, Honda Civics, and Honda Fits continue to sell across America. Affordable used cars often disappear from dealership lots within days. Some even sell above their expected market value. If Americans truly stopped wanting affordable transportation, why is demand for reliable used compact cars still so strong? The answer is surprisingly simple. People didn't stop wanting cheap cars, they stopped being able to find new ones. For many first-time buyers, students, young families, and retirees, the choice isn't between a compact sedan and a luxury SUV. The choice is between buying an expensive vehicle or buying a used one. Because the affordable new car slowly vanished. Not because customers disappeared, but because manufacturers quietly stopped giving them that option. And that raises a much bigger question. Why would companies abandon millions of potential customers? Why walk away from an entire market? Unless there was another market that had become far more valuable. The quiet shift that changed everything. For decades, American automakers measured success by one simple number. How many vehicles could they sell? More dealerships, more customers, more cars on the road. Volume was everything, but sometime during the last 20 years, that strategy began to change. Instead of asking, how do we sell more cars? The question quietly became, how do we earn more from every vehicle we sell? At first glance, that might sound like the same thing. It isn't. Imagine you're running a dealership. You can sell 2 compact sedans for modest profit, or 1 fully loaded SUV with premium wheels, leather seats, advanced technology packages, financing, extended warranties, and years of maintenance revenue. Which sale makes your business stronger? The answer isn't difficult. Now imagine that decision happening. Not once, but millions of times, across every dealership, every manufacturer, every quarterly earnings report. Suddenly, the industry begins moving in one direction: larger vehicles, higher prices, higher profit margins, and customers kept rewarding that strategy. Families upgraded from sedans to crossovers. Crossovers became mid-size SUVs. Mid-size SUVs became full-size SUVs. Pickup trucks transformed from work vehicles into luxury products. The American vehicle didn't simply become larger, it became more profitable, little by little. Affordable cars became less important, not because they couldn't be built, but because they earned far less money. And once an entire industry begins optimizing for profit instead of volume, turning back becomes incredibly difficult. But something unexpected happened while Detroit focused on larger vehicles. Someone else saw an opportunity. The market Detroit left behind. Around the world, millions of people were still looking for exactly the kind of vehicle America had begun leaving behind. Simple, reliable, affordable. Not everyone wanted panoramic sunroofs. Not everyone cared about 20-inch wheels. Not everyone needed 3 rows of seats. Many people simply wanted dependable transportation. And that market never disappeared, it merely shifted. Manufacturers in Asia continued asking a different question. Instead of asking, how can we build the most profitable SUV? They asked, how can we build a vehicle that millions of ordinary families can afford? That difference in philosophy changed everything. Simpler interiors, fewer trim levels, shared vehicle platforms, standardized components, lower production costs, higher manufacturing efficiency. These weren't inferior products. They were products designed with a different goal: value, not maximum profit. Ironically, some affordable vehicles now include technology that once belonged only to luxury cars: large touchscreens, digital instrument clusters, connected software, wireless updates. Technology itself isn't always the expensive part anymore. In many cases, the business model is. Which leads us to the biggest surprise of this entire story. Cheap cars didn't disappear because America forgot how to build them. They disappeared because building something else became far more rewarding. But if that's true, what does it say about the future of the American auto industry? Follow the money. If you really want to understand why affordable cars disappeared, don't follow the assembly line. Follow the money. Every new vehicle sold in America creates an entire chain of profits. The manufacturer makes money, the dealership makes money, the bank financing the loan makes money, the insurance company makes money, the service department makes money, the parts suppliers make money. Now imagine two customers walking into the same dealership. One buys a compact sedan for $20,000. The other buys a fully equipped SUV for $48,000. Neither vehicle requires twice as many workers to build. Neither contains twice as much steel. Neither takes twice as long to assemble. Yet one generates dramatically more revenue, not just on the day it's sold, but for years afterward. A larger loan means more interest. A higher purchase price often means higher insurance premiums. More expensive vehicles typically generate more profit from extended warranties, accessories, and dealership maintenance. Suddenly, the business decision becomes obvious. Selling fewer expensive vehicles can be more profitable than selling many affordable ones. That's why America's auto industry didn't simply become more expensive, it became optimized for higher margins. This wasn't a conspiracy, it wasn't one company making one bad decision. It was an entire industry responding to the incentives in front of it. And once those incentives became deeply rooted, affordable cars slowly stopped making financial sense. America didn't lose the ability. So, did America forget how to build cheap cars? Not at all. American engineers remain among the best in the world. American factories produce some of the most advanced vehicles ever built. American workers haven't forgotten how to manufacture reliable transportation. The ability never disappeared. The priorities did. For decades, the industry rewarded vehicles that were larger, more powerful, more luxurious, and ultimately, more profitable. Meanwhile, another part of the world focused on something different. How do we make transportation accessible to more people? How do we reduce manufacturing costs without sacrificing reliability? How do we build a vehicle that's good enough instead of loaded with everything? These are different questions. And different questions produce different answers. That's why comparing an affordable compact car built for value with a premium American SUV can be misleading. They're solving different problems for different customers. America didn't lose the race. It simply chose a different track. Whether that strategy remains successful over the next decade is a question no one can answer with certainty. Because the market is beginning to change once again. Families are feeling the pressure of rising monthly payments. Interest rates remain higher than many buyers expected. Insurance costs continue climbing. And for millions of Americans, affordability is becoming important again. Will cheap cars make a comeback? History has a strange habit of repeating itself. Every time products become too expensive, someone eventually discovers a way to make them simple again. We've seen it with computers, we've seen it with televisions, we've seen it with smartphones. The auto industry may be approaching a similar turning point, not because technology is slowing down, but because affordability is becoming the next innovation. The company that wins the future may not be the one building the fastest electric vehicle or the most luxurious SUV. It may be the company that gives ordinary families something they've been missing for years, a new vehicle they can actually afford. So perhaps the real mystery was never why cheap cars disappeared. Maybe the better question is, who will be the first to bring them back? Because when that happens, it won't just change the auto industry. It could change how millions of Americans buy their next car. And that brings us back to the question we asked at the very beginning. Cheap cars didn't disappear because America forgot how to build them. They disappeared because America discovered something more profitable. But markets never stand still. If rising prices continue pushing buyers away, the next revolution in the auto industry may not come from building a more expensive vehicle. It may come from making transportation affordable again. So here's the question for you. If Ford, General Motors, Toyota, or Honda introduced a reliable, well-built $18,000 car tomorrow, would you buy it? Or have Americans become so accustomed to larger, more expensive vehicles that affordable cars no longer fit the American dream? Let us know what you think, because the answer to that question may shape the future of America's auto industry.